we kind of we struggle quite a bit because we are more focusing on like how regular or like us going through this program. But in the end, we wanted to expand the age level, not just the 20s, because I think there are some people at their 40s, they have raised children or they have done a lot of stuff and they want to do something like a teaching. Those experiences tend to create a little more interest to the teacher. So I think the way we want to do is just expand the age level.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's basically your idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Let's go to this group.
In our group, we kind of like talked about how it is going to be important for raising recognition among younger generations, and how we have like this image of like obstacles for becoming teachers,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So like basically, we think it's going to be like insecure, or sometimes we think it's going to be like not cool because it's going to be like a lot of burdens and a lot of pressures, and like by having that image like make it like different, and by having like a cooler like images like from like a Teach for Japan fellows, or we think that's going to raise more awareness and we'll be able to welcome more people, best inspirers like teachers coming into like school fields.
How do you make it cool?
Right. Because like one of the
We can bring the ice cream.
Recording events. Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe like one of the reasons, because like sometimes like when you see the like news, like teachers like doing some kind of like crimes against like their children and stuff, we kind of have like that image about them, right? So like, or sometimes we hear about like those pressures and like teachers not really doing their jobs, and that kind of also makes their images bad, right? So but having that really like passionate like teachers like actually teaching out this field, and like having them young people feel that like if once, okay, maybe we have this image of like once you go into like educational field, you're gonna have to do it forever. But you actually feel that actually, listening to the stories of those like Teach for Japan fellows, you actually can expand your like career opportunities and how you can actually enjoy teaching and also other stuffs, right? So that's going to contribute to making the teaching job cooler and going to welcome more brightest teachers into schools.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Us four, we're a little bit similar to like just the previous group. We thought, what's the qualification for these kind of teachers, and we came up with Japanese English, passionate, all that. But as you mentioned, I think they need to be the top of the top level. And we said, then how can we attract these kind of people? And well, we had two in mind. One's just raising the salary as much as Goldman Sachs. But we said not very realistic. And the other is experience. So he's from China, and Teach for China he said it's very rewarding because of the experience. You can still move on to different careers. But I think in Japan, the society, it's still not recognized by the society itself. So first, the solution, I think, one is to promote to the public. And one thing they can do is, well, they can just attract more teachers. So right now they're focusing more on quality of the teachers, but more quantity based. Maybe 10 to 20s, but maybe just increase the level is one thing. And build a success model, and some success models. And one of the ideas, do you want to explain about you came up with a very...
I think it's a big activity and a very big program. So I think they need help from very various industries like education as well as business, because I think we have to seek some partnership for our program. Like we can seek education partnership, like university or college, about their education department. I think those who want to join a program must have a passion for education. Also, I think it's quite rewarding for them to take courses in this college, so they can teach at the same time, but also attending these courses provided by our partnership university. So the second thing is that we can seek corporate partners who can not only sponsor for us, but also they can provide like training program like to raise communication or managerial skills for our participants, and also we will do the promotion for them. I think it's a win-win situation. So I think the most important part is to get partnership with either the education part or the business part at first step.
What is that Japanese comedian?
It's like we have so many Japanese comedians in Japan, right? And they don't have many jobs. So I thought it's gonna be a good idea to make it not as a full-time job, but as a part-time job. And then like this gonna be open for more people. For example, like comedians and also like other jobs, people who
artists, you know, all sorts of artists,
actors.
Yeah, actors, actors, singers, and all these people. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Why is in China it's rewarding experience?
In China, actually, it has been raised to a governmental level. So there is a program that the Chinese government recruits the best of best students from university. After graduation, they send out those students to the rural area, really poor area like Tibet or other district, that they teach those primary school students or high school students for 2 years, and after that they get permitted into that national, get permitted to the government institutions or big companies, and also if they don't just directly go into the companies, they get really a good experience on their resume, and which is recognized by a lot of the companies in China.
I see.
So maybe just like we talked about, main idea is to raise recognition first, to get it to recognized by the public and as well as the employees in this business world.
I see. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
3 proposals. The first one is directly related to getting a full-time teachers. And our idea is to go to corporations and establish relationships with them so that as a part of their CSR activities, that they will send their employees to teach for Japan for 2 years. We believe that there are a lot of people who are interested in education, who want to be teachers, but they decided not to pursue that route because they just don't pay enough. If they could secure their position at a major corporation that they work, and then also be involved in education, knowing that they'll be able to go back to their position 2 years later, I think there are a lot of people who are actually interested in becoming teachers. And then the reason why we put CSR there is because there are a lot of corporations who actually set aside a lot of money for CSR. And they're actually actively looking for ways to spend their money. And then I think that if Teach for Japan could establish a relationship with multiple corporations, I think that there are a lot of people, the best and brightest that he's looking for, might be interested in raising their hands to do this. The second idea is not for a full-time teacher, but I really like this idea. There are a lot of Japanese mothers who are highly educated but who quit working after they become mothers. There are all those great resources that are totally wasted. So I think that if the schools, Teach for Japan, could promote this idea of like a big sister or big brother, like they do in the States, or the other parents. Sometimes those kids who are having difficulty or who are labeled as problem child may not want to talk to their parents, but they might be more willing to talk about their concerns or issues with other people who care about them. So if the Teach for Japan could establish some kind of a system where mothers could sign up, become other parents, or even some people who don't have kids who are interested in becoming a big sister could sign up for Teach for Japan's program to be a big sister and then go to school regularly. It would have to be a regular thing. Go to the school once a week for 1 year or 2 years so that they are assigned to be a big sister for 1 or 2 children and then talk to those kids, and I think that could eventually help. The third idea, we couldn't really discuss all the details, but there are companies who send their employees to overseas subsidiaries, or he called satellite offices. They want those employees to be able to sort of exercise or enhance the skills that they learned by working overseas, by somehow being involved in education. Maybe Teach for Japan could to work with some corporations to see what kind of contribution that companies make, like a matching, like that maybe companies can offer, like we can't send our employees for 2 years, but maybe we can offer this or that. But we couldn't talk about the details for that yet.
That's very good. Yeah, I think for the CSR kind of thing, as a leadership program, it almost sounds like instead of sending your people to business school or other graduate school, send it to Teach for Japan. Right. Because that's the actual experience of leadership and problem solving.
Right. The other reason why we think this idea is good is because, like for instance, those people who use English every day at work know the joy of being able to speak English. Mm-hmm. That they can be very passionately teaching the kids, believe me, English is not for the entrance exam. If you can speak English, it really opens up your whole opportunities, great possibilities. The same thing about like engineer too. I work with a lot of engineers that if those people who actually design PlayStation can teach science or physics or optics, I think that the kids will learn, wow, it's kind of interesting to learn physics more. I want to know more about this. So I think that there's definitely a benefit of having someone who have done a lot of experience in different subjects, who actually know what knowing that subject could lead you to. And I think that could have a big impact.
I see. Very good. Excellent. Thank you.
I'm going to summarize our group's discussion here. We have 5 or 6 people, and our members have a very, very interesting experience, like having been a coach for soccer, and being a daughter who had to take care of their parents, and also one member spent 2 years in England and came back to Japan, having a hard time looking for a job. And so we really got down to business. I mean, we were really seriously talked about it, and how to have really the best and brightest recruits for Teach for Japan is one possibility is hiring young people, and if they had to quit their job because their parents, they had to take care of their parents, and it's really hard to get back to their jobs, right? So there could be a candidates on those people. And another example is young people who studied abroad a certain year and came back to Japan and have had a hard time finding a job. So I need, maybe the second one is really, really good candidates. And so one way to get to those people, maybe Teach for Japan should take part in those events like Korea Forum, helping foreign countries. And you can encourage those Japanese students who studied abroad to do an internship and local teach for something. Right? And we also felt that it is still difficult to apply for this job because you have, maybe I get the impression that you should be qualified. So maybe tell those people who might apply for this job that you can do it if you're committed. So Teach for Japan should send those messages. And maybe as for advertisement, it costs a lot of money. So one way could be, for example, you can talk to a J League and do advertising at, for example, in Saitama Stadium where 50,000 people together. That's our idea, basically.
I see.
Thank you.
I think it's quite interesting. If you ask for best and brightest, then you may be discouraging a lot of people to apply. Because a lot of people don't have that much of a confidence. Am I the best and the brightest? I know a lot of people feel that, I mean, we're talking about the Japanese, and they feel that they may not be as good, so not qualified. I think that's the issue, right? I think that's a very good point.
We developed our ideas from the problems that we've identified in Japanese education and Japanese careers. The first problem is that you found that the way of teaching and learning in Japan, it's more passive. So the teachers just throw a knowledge to the students, and the students just follow the rules or follow the ways that the teacher provided, and then come to the solution that the teacher have already prepared. In contrast, in some other societies, the teachers value, how do you reach to that solution, and asking why, and finding, innovation in the problems that you solve. So we thought it could be good to bring a different cultural background into the teachers. So we think that maybe it's possible to open up the international recruitment, and the most realizable way is to recruit the foreigners studying in Japanese universities. One thing that needs to be noted is that during the training process, maybe those foreigners need to understand Japanese education and Japanese society and Japanese culture. However, in return, what we can offer, or what the program can provide value to those foreigners is, first, they have a better understanding of the Japanese culture and society, and second, it could be the beginning step of seeking jobs in Japan or living in Japan. So there's this mutual contribution between the program and the teachers. And the second idea is sort of similar from some ideas from the previous groups, which is to cooperate with the companies and create this like 2-year project or 2-year programs for those employees who have already been working in those companies. But what we focus is that it's important to let the students know that you don't have to be good at everything. And you need to find that one passion that you have potential at, or you just have great interests in. So sending those people who have already found their passion in life and in their work could be sending good messages to the students. And as in return, the program can provide a great experience of social caring and social experience and leadership, of course, to those employees, for them to take back to the work that they've been doing in the companies. And maybe I'll pass through to my member to express this third idea.
I'm not really prepared. The third idea was to promote, in order to acquire more younger generations, we can do more promotion and also maybe even evangelism in the universities. So, visiting through all the universities in Japan, and maybe program itself can be integrated in their own educational programs of experience teaching. And actually, there was fourth idea that's you mentioned. To make the program itself a little more attractive, because we just noticed that the opportunity for the junior high school is only for English teachers, seems like. But if all of the passionate potential teachers will not be very good at teaching English, but they might be very good at teaching math or sciences, things like that. So if this opportunity can be widened, then those people can also apply. And also the license issues, maybe some of previous groups also mentioned, that will also concern those potential applicants. So that can be solved, that would be great.
Great, thank you very much.
And our idea is actually a Teachers for Japan 2.0. It is true that it is, and also it's a very great word that to help the students from the poor places. However, in the US, it has been a start raising question that is current education system actually working? Because is it necessary for students to like compete on their grades for the limited seats in the university? Is this the only way? So for our new program, as a model of the kind of new type of educational school founded by Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, like the teachers, they can actually let the student choose what they're interested in. Besides the main subject such as English, Japanese, or science, other than that, we think that maybe arts, music, and maybe programming is also a very important topic for the kids to explore. Also, we are thinking to recruit part-time teachers, so to save the cost of enrolling full-time teachers. Also, we're trying to make part of the class online, so it can reach more people. And yeah, as I mentioned, besides main subject, they can choose like their interest in, and also we will bring more like teaching assistants in different fields.
So we talked about what Teach for Japan can do. So we talked because there's so many locals of Teach for Japan. I mean, Teach for China or Teach for Indonesia or Teach for America. So what we can, what Teach for Japan can do is they can exchange teachers itself. Like for example, even though they are still in their each countries, they can we can connect them online so children can learn from teachers in each countries. Like for example, some children maybe not motivated. Like for example, why they need to study this subject, or why we need to study this English, for example. But if children learn from teachers in America or even much poorer countries, like maybe they realize why they need to study or what will they be from them. So only, I mean, like next to them doesn't only mean motivate them. Like even though they are far from them, they still can motivate children. So we focus on more how to motivate children, and also we talked about internship program for university students in Japan. Like we realized only 20% of people applicants in Teach for Japan are university students. But if there's some problem on like 1 year problem, maybe more students can apply. Like for example, in my case, I finished my four-year degree for 3 years, so I could do anything for 1 year. So like not only me can do, like any student, university student can do such things. So 1 year program is not only one year, like even like 6 months or any flexible year is fine. So yeah, that kind, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years. Not only 2 years, 1 year program is good for university students as well.
Great, thank you very much.
And actually, I was a teacher who taught in school in Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, after 2 years of teaching, I really hate teaching.
No.
But I was studying in the normal university, which is the school that training people to become a teacher. So I studied education for 4 years. And after 4 years of study, I go to practice teaching in 2 schools. So before I really get into the school, I actually had already trained for 5 years. But even though after I go into the school, I still feel really not confident because it is really hard to teach a group, so many people. You are not just dealing with one person, you have to dealing with like 30 people in the class, and every one of them are so different. And you have to know a lot of things. Otherwise, you cannot really teach them how to learn. So I think, and you cannot throw the problem to teacher and say, oh, if you cannot control a class, and that is a problem. Because I already been trained for 5 years, and I still don't know how to control a class. And actually, all of my friends, like my college friends, they all have this kind of problem. So I think what teacher need is not a lot of salary or something that maybe can make their career better or something. I think the teacher needs what they really needs how to teach, because it is really hard job. And there is a project in Taiwan which is really famous recently. It's called 翻转教育. In Japanese, maybe you can call Gakuden Kyoiku. And what this group is doing is like they train a group of teachers, and that group of teachers, they will go to school and train the teachers in the school. And what they are doing is like they have their educational, I don't know how to say, philosophy. They have their way to teach. And basically they separate students in one class to 3 groups, which is A and B and C. And what that means is A is the group of students who always got A in the test, and B is the student who always got B in the test, and C is the student who always got C. So they ask A student to teach C student. Otherwise, if you don't teach C student, and you can only get 15 points. And if you teach them, and all of you can get 100 points. So they have their way to educate people, and they teach teacher to teach student. So this program is really like famous in Taiwan. If you go to search on the web, then you can find a page. So I think it is a really good system, because actually this program makes teachers in Taiwan they have more confidence to teach in Taiwan. So I think maybe Japan can also have this kind of project. So with our idea is cool, teacher Japan. So I think our project, we can train a group of teachers mentor, and who can try to train the teachers in school. And how they train the teachers in school is they can go to the school and really observe what teacher is teaching students. Because I think a lot of cases, like when you are teaching in a class, and that space is actually really not public, it's really like private. So teacher doesn't know what happened, and student doesn't know what happened too. So I think they need someone to observe what they are actually doing and tell them what is the problem.
I see.
Yeah. And so after the teacher was trained, then they can have better confidence to teach students, and all of the educational system will become better. And maybe the teacher, they will feel, oh, teaching is actually really cool. And like the image of teacher in the Japan society will become better. Yeah, because I was a teacher, so I think if there's a program which can make me want to teach more, I think that would be a good program. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I really liked it. Thank you all. I actually jot down a lot of notes, and we'll go back to my office and think about the strategy, how can I make it happen. But I do really like about how we can really think about the teacher status itself, not just about Teach for Japan teachers, but in this country, teachers are always criticized. They're doing, we hear a lot of things on the news, which are bad news about teachers, and that's true. But there's also a lot of teachers who are doing their best to serve the kids, and it's not really focused. And that's where teachers lose their self-dignity, and that's where the teacher motivation gets lowered. So we really need to think about how we can make a society that really values teacher, really values education, and not just about critics. So I thinking about the teacher profession itself and that group was great. Actually, from this year, we started Teachers Day. October 5th is World Teachers Day, and we started Japan Teachers Day this year. Next year we're trying to make it as a holiday. I'll talk with a lot of politicians. It's going to be a great day so that everyone in this country have a day to recognize how important teaching is, and how important teachers are, and how everyone can contribute into education, not just criticizing. So that's one thing that we're currently working on. I do like the idea of partnering with a lot of corporations, just having their message on our website saying, you know, we'll welcome Teachers Japan alumni. I mean, it's just, in Japan, like teaching, for me, I was a teacher before. I got into PricewaterhouseCoopers because I was a graduate from Harvard, not because I was a teacher. And I was hired as a new graduate. So I wasn't as like a Chuto Sayo, I was a Shinso Sayo, even though I had 2 years of teaching experience. So the teaching profession itself is not really, the experience is not valued. So I just want to, you know, just have partnerships with corporations and let them really understand that this is a leadership experience and it's valuable. It's like equivalent to MBA experience, maybe more. But at the same time, I think the hurdle or the challenge will be how can we really make it visible, like, you know, by, you know, really like how can we show that actually this 2 years is more valuable than an MBA experience. So I think that program evaluation will be important. How can we really have a competency model and show that the 2 years experience is actually raising the leadership competencies in a way, and maybe Wilson Learning will be a partner to find that competency model. But yeah, I think that's one thing that we would like to do. And also, the last part that this session made me think about is how we can really make this a leadership program, not just a leadership program, but also a leadership program that can really have systemic change into the education system. There's a lot of people who really care about education and really think that there's an issue, but there's not that many people who are taking action. So maybe this 2 year experience will be, you know, provide that experience to really let them understand what the issues are on the ground. And having that experience, I think there's going to be more good, better policies out there. Because Ministry of Education, most of the government officials don't have teaching experience. It really doesn't make sense, right? We should have like a decent proportion of people who have teaching experience and thinking about the policy. So maybe we can create like a education leadership program in a program that, you know, people who really want to make a change and maybe in policy or become an entrepreneur, the first 2 years becoming a teacher is definitely beneficial for that kind of career as well. So that's another thing that I'm starting to think about. But thank you. It was really, you know, inspirational, and I really had good ideas to start from. So.
Thank you very much. I thought a few things, and I thought that the flexibility, rather than just sticking to the 2 year program full time, may be the way. And I sort of recommended to make the target not just, you know, university graduates, but broaden it, is what I suggested, but it was rejected.
But now it's happening, so 80%.
Yeah. And so I thought, like, you know, older people or whatever. And I thought it was very interesting to integrate this program into other things, like university, corporate, you know, training programs and so forth. And I really like this education, Teach for Japan 2.0, because I think that's, talking more about what is the new education, which is very much related to what I was talking about at the beginning. We need new skills. We can't really stick to this old subjects. And what's very important is how we can make sure we motivate people so that they learn. And, you know, each person has something different that they're interested in. So if we can figure out how to make sure that we motivate people to keep learning, I think that's the key. And these days, we call it lifelong learning. It's not, you know, school, work, and retire. It's a lifelong learning. And lifelong learning can be possible only if you find something which you find passionate about. And that can change. But I think there are lots and lots more opportunities for offering this kind of program. So I thought it was I really wanted to talk much more broadly than just the teacher recruiting program, because I want you to think about what we can do ourselves to make sure that we keep on learning, and we can figure out what to learn to make our life much more fun, rather than just discipline. I think discipline is fine, but it's no fun. I want something cool, rather than sort of bored and exhausted. So with that note, I would like to thank all of you to come, and just a couple of words. Next session is going to be on December the 4th, as you have received. And we'll have Toru Toksuke, who started the business on EV bike in Asia. So he has this passion of, not in education, but he has a passion for building, designing, developing a mega venture in Asia. So he's quite an impressive person, so we're very happy to have him. And next year, it's too early to talk about 2016, we'll have the session number 33 on the 15th of January at Google. And we'll do something much more related to skills. How do you make sure that we can use cloud technology for our convenience? So that's it. And we'll have a group picture, but just for your information, we have this Yoko's bar. That is, those who come to this session more than 5 times are invited to Yoko's bar. And I just found out there are about 13, 14 people already qualified. So I have to do a lot of Yoko's bar. And I think there are like 4 people who are here today who have qualified. So these are the dates that we're going to figure out when to have a Yoko's bar. So I'll talk to them and I'll send an email. But if you are interested in getting the stamps, what I do is that I give you this card and give you stamps every time you come. And if you collect 5, you're qualified. So that's the deal. So thank you very much. Let's take a group picture, right? And then we'll hit the drinks and food.